So good evening, everyone. My name is Maurya Hanspal, and in this session, we're gonna continue our previous session on talk on stock markets. So in the previous sessions of session 1 and 2, we have been talking about stock markets, the most important stock market terms and terminologies that you people should know. And basically, like in detail, like we were talking about the stock market, that what exactly is the stock market, how are the shares being traded, and like particularly like talking about the stock market, we also talked about the differences between trading and investment. That is, what exactly do we mean by trading and what exactly do we mean by investment. So when we talked about investment was something which was long term in nature, or like which was made for more than 1 year. Then we also talked about the two types of investments, the long term investment and the short term investments, right? The long term investments are those which are put into place for more than 1 year. And the short term investments are those which are put into place for less than 1 year. Like, for example, if you sold the shares in the market after 1 year, so that would be long term. Whereas, if you are selling your shares like before 1 year or before 365 days, then that would be a short term. Okay. Then we also tried to discuss about the long-term capital gains tax and the short-term capital gains tax. So when talking about the long-term capital gains tax, it is taxed at 10% only if your earnings is above rupees 1 lakh. Like for example, if I invested rupees 1 lakh in the stock market and earned rupees 2 lakhs after 1 year and sold my shares, then no tax would be charged. But in the other scenario, if I earned like 2 lakh 10,000, then 10% taxation would charge on 10,000 and not 2 lakh 10,000. So 10,000 ka 10% and 1,000 I would have to pay. Talking about the short term capital gains tax, if I am selling my investment in less than 1 year, like 1 lakh investment, it went up to like 2 lakhs. 1 lakh would be charged at 15% rate in short term capital gains. Then we also talked about that we use fundamental analysis in investing. And then we also talked about trading. In trading, we talked about the short term in nature and we talked about the swing trading and the scalping. The swing trading is more or less based on volatility, whereas scalping is based on second differences in trade. And technical analysis or tool starts are being used for trading. Then we try to understand that in order to buy the shares or like sell the shares, we need a demat account. Then what are the various characteristics of a demat account? We talked about the MIS, which is the margin intraday square off, like which is used for the trading purposes कि आज खरीद के आज ही बेचना है. Then we also talked about the cash and carry on CNC, which was for long-term investments. Under the MIS or the margin intraday square off, we had the cover order and the bracket order. The cover order had the initial price and the stop loss. The bracket order had the initial price, the stop loss, and the target price as well. Then we also talked about the buy now, sell later schemes. Like, for example, if someone has bought the share today, by not selling the share today, like before 3:30 p.m., he or she can sell the share the day after as well. So these schemes have also been introduced in the market. Then we also talked about the AMO, the after market order, that if the market closes, so after 3:30 p.m. also, like you can place the order, but it is not sure that at the price at which the market closed, the other day, the price of that stock like would be the same one. There can be a gap up opening and a gap down opening. And like we discussed, like, okay, like what exactly is the gap up opening and gap down opening. Okay. Then see, like one more thing, like to continue the session, I want to discuss, like when I talked about the bracket order and the cover order. So bracket order and cover order in most of the scenarios, like they are used under the MIS or the margin intraday square off, but it is not कि वो CNC में use नहीं हो सकते. Okay, these things can also be used in CNC. ठीक है. Now, like someone asked me that what exactly do we mean by a market order? कि market order क्या होता है? So market order is the most simplest one. Okay, like when we talk about the market order, I'll just first write your market order. Yeah. So when we talk about the market order, so market order is the simplest order. that you opened your Demat account, that you opened the portal of Zerodha, Upstocks, Grow, Angel One, 5paisa.com, जो भी है, you just purchase the share at the price at which it is prevailing in the market, or you sold the share at the price which is prevailing in the market. That is your simple market order. जिस प्राइस पर चल रहा है उस पर खरीदा, एंड जब बेचना है तो जो करंट प्राइस चल रहा है यू सोल्ड एट दैट प्राइस. So that is your market order. Okay. Yeah. Particularly, so this was your market order. Then yesterday we also talked about the stop loss. We also talked about the stop loss. So one is a normal stop loss. एक आता है, you have that stop loss पे limit order लगता है. Stop loss limit. So what exactly is the stop loss limit order? Stop loss limit order का मतलब है, like for example, like you have purchased the share maybe for 100 rupees. You have purchased the share for 100 rupees. Okay. Stop loss you have put in as 50 rupees. You think that like you can bear the loss up till 50 rupees. 50 rupees पे जैसे आएगा, the share would be like sold off in the market. But you also put one more limit, that is your stop loss limit. The stop loss limit you put it as 49.5. Okay, so what exactly it means? When we were putting it as the stop loss of 50, the share would be sold automatically like when it reaches 50. But now we have the stop loss limit. So what happens in stop loss limit, since you have like put in like 59.5. Okay, so the share would be sold off at rupees 50. Share would be sold off at rupees 50 only when this 49.5 reaches. जब 49.5 पे आएगा, then only the share would be sold at 50 rupees. तो एक 0.5 का बेनिफिट हो जाता है, ठीक है. बट जो सिर्फ स्टॉप लॉस था उसमें था कि अगर 50 पे आएगा सेल तभी होगा. बट स्टॉप लॉस लिमिट है, अगर 49.5 पे आएगा देन स्टॉप लॉस पे वो मतलब कि सेल हो जाएगा. The condition is it should reach there at like 49.5. Okay. The other thing is your stop loss market order. Other thing people talk about is the stop loss market order. सो स्टॉप लॉस मार्केट ऑर्डर क्या है? अगर 100 का खरीदा है एंड 50 का स्टॉप लॉस लगाया है, ओके, जब 50 पे आएगा तो द शेयर वुड बी सोल्ड एट द प्रिवेलिंग मार्केट प्राइस ओनली. उसमें कुछ लाइक 49.6 या मतलब कि 49.8 कुछ ऐसे नहीं होगा. इट वुड बी सोल्ड एट द प्रिवेलिंग मार्केट प्राइस ओनली. तो इसमें वो ये लिमिट की कंडीशन नहीं आएगी. जब मान लो कि मार्केट ऑर्डर होता है ना कि सेम प्राइस पे खरीदा एंड सेम पे बेचा, सिमिलरली इन स्टॉप लॉस मार्केट ऑर्डर जो भी प्रिवेलिंग मार्केट प्राइस चल रहा होगा एट दैट प्राइस द शेयर वुड बी सोल्ड इन द मार्केट. ओके, so this was about your stop loss thing. One more feature you have is the GTT. It stands for good till triggered. Good till triggered. So GTT is basically used for those peoples like who do not have time to track the stock market in general. Okay, and man like those people are the working ones. उन्हें बहुत टाइम नहीं मिलता to like track the stock market. So what do they do? Like for example, if in their focus, like that they are focusing on Tata Motors. Just for example, they are focusing on Tata Motors. Okay. मान लो प्राइस चल रहा है like 300 rupees. Okay. So they'll go to the broker's page, your Zerodha, Upstox, 5paisa, Angel One, जो भी है. They'll put a target price कि जैसे ही इस शेयर का प्राइस 280 पे आ जाएगा, I want to automatically buy it. So जैसे 280 पे आएगा, the share would be bought and put it in the demat account of the investor. The investor like doesn't have to log in into that dashboard and buy that share. The sale would be triggered. The purchase would be triggered. Also he can set a target price कि 350 पे उसको बेचना ही बेचना है. Like 70 rupees का उसको प्रॉफिट कमाना ही कमाना है. 350 पे जैसे आएगा, the share would be sold in the market. And the investor doesn't need to log in the dashboard and execute a sales order. Provided ये 280 आना चाहिए. अगर 280 नहीं आएगा, तो this order would never be executed. अगर 280 पे आके the person has bought it, and if like 350 doesn't come, the order would never be executed. Okay? But like there can be like certain kind of losses also. मान लो कि अगर like 270 पे आ गया, but still it would be purchased at 280 only. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे like 10 rupees पे you can say investor like might have bought it at 10 rupees. Similarly, the stock price might go up to 400 or 450, but still it would be sold at 350 because it has been set at 350. Before selling at 350, he can change the target, but after selling, he cannot. Okay, so that is your good till triggered. You might have heard a term in the market, trailing stop loss. Trailing stop loss. What exactly do we mean by trailing stop loss? Simple example लेते हैं. Trailing stop loss is basically if your share price is rising, your stop loss would also rise, like by the same amount. If the share price is falling, the stop loss would also fall. ठीक है, कैसे? मान लो if I purchase the share at 100 rupees and I had set the stop loss at 90. Now the share price rose to like 110. ठीक है, ये 10% बढ़ गया. So what would be the 10% of 99? 90 का 10% is a single 9. Then 90 भी like 10% से बढ़ जाएगा. So the new stop loss would be 9. So जैसे जैसे the main price is increasing, the stop loss is also increasing. Similarly, if it falls by 10%, 90 हो गया, and stop loss will also fall by 10%, 81. 90 minus 9, 81. So accordingly, the stop loss is adjusting. So it can be a dynamic stop loss, we can say. We also call it as a dynamic stop loss. Okay. That is trailing stop loss. So these are like some of the most important terms like that you will find like when you are trading through the dashboard of Zerodha, Grow Up Stocks or anything. Okay. One thing I want to discuss that the shares that are being traded in the market, the equity shares which are being traded in the market, those are not all the equity shares of the company. Okay. I'll repeat the same thing. Equity shares which are traded in the market are not the whole equity shares of the company. If a company has total 10,000 equity shares, तो market में 10,000 बहुत ही कम सिनारियों में होंगे, ठीक है, but 10,000 नहीं होंगे. Okay. The shares which are available to be bought and sold in the market. Okay. Those shares are the free floating shares. And when you calculate the market capitalization of a company, okay, so like what do? You do the shares, the equity shares available in the market into the price, right? In order to calculate the market capitalization, you do the share price of the company into the number of equity shares available in the market. Those equity shares available in the market are the free floating equity shares. Okay. Whereas those equity shares which are not available in the market to be bought and sold are the locked in equity shares. Okay, like which are held by the promoters of the company. So अगर promoters ने सारा stake ही बेच दिया, तो all the shares would be available in the market. But the promoters or the higher corporate managers or CEOs, CFOs, they tend to keep some shares. Okay, so that are the locked in shares. So all the ratios that we calculate in market, EPS, PE, all these are calculated on the basis of the free floating shares. Okay, and we call it as the basic PE or the basic EPS. But if we are also including the locked in shares, अगर तुम EPS and PE निकालने में, if you are including the locked in shares, so that is called the diluted EPS or diluted PE. उस केस में क्या होगा कि EPS और PE की वैल्यू कम हो जाएगी. Like if you want to know that what is EPS or what is P ratios, all these things have been discussed in my previous sessions on ratio analysis and validations. So that you can go back and like get through those sessions. Okay. ठीक है. So that was all for today, and I'll see you